Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right from the start. Wealth is not evil and faith is not weakness. The problem is not money. The problem is misplaced purpose. See, money is a tool, not a master. When you serve your purpose, wealth will serve you. But when you chase wealth, you'll end up serving it. So today, let's talk about how to attract wealth, how to live in abundance, but still keep your faith pure and unshaken. You cannot attract something that you secretly believe is wrong. One of the biggest reasons people never experience financial increase is because deep inside, they have been taught that prosperity and purity can't coexist. They've been told that if they love God, they must live small, stay humble, and avoid ambition. But that's not humility. That's limitation disguised as righteousness. The truth is faith was never designed to keep you broke. Faith was designed to unlock your potential, align you with purpose, and draw resources to help you fulfill it. The moment you see wealth as a divine tool instead of a dangerous temptation, your entire relationship with it changes. Believing that prosperity is part of your divine design means recognizing that your Creator never designed you for struggle. You were designed for stewardship. The earth was given to humanity as a place of management, multiplication, and mastery. Every seed produces after its own kind, and that includes the seeds of ideas, skills, and opportunities. The issue is not whether God wants you to prosper. The issue is whether you believe you are allowed to. When your mind is conditioned by guilt, your actions are restricted by fear. You can't receive what you feel unworthy of having. Poverty is not a symbol of holiness. You don't prove your faith by suffering lack. You prove your faith by producing fruit. The scripture says a tree is known by its fruit. If your life produces generosity, excellence, creativity, and value for others, that's evidence that your roots are healthy. Prosperity is simply fruit on the tree of purpose. It's not something you chase. It's something that naturally grows when you're planted in the right soil. The soil is your faith, the seed is your work, and the fruit is the result of your obedience. There are many people who pray for increase but prepare for limitation. They ask for abundance but live with a scarcity mindset. You cannot pray for rain and then refuse to build a well. When you believe that prosperity is divine, you stop asking for survival and start planning for stewardship. You stop wondering how to make ends meet and start asking how to expand your capacity. Because when you know that increase is your inheritance, you take responsibility for learning how to manage it. Belief is more than words, it's alignment. If you truly believe that wealth is part of your design, you'll begin to think differently about opportunity, time, and relationships. You'll see time not as something to kill, but as something to invest. You'll treat your gifts not as hobbies, but as assignments. You'll treat people not as competition, but as potential partners in purpose. This shift in mindset creates a magnetic energy that attracts favor, clients, ideas, and divine connections. When you understand that your faith authorizes your prosperity, you stop separating your business from your beliefs. You realize that your work is worship. Every sale, every service, every product becomes an expression of excellence that honors your Creator. Prosperity isn't about greed, it's about gratitude. When you operate in gratitude, you see wealth as a channel to do more good. It's not about having more than others. It's about having enough to fulfill what you were born to do. Some people misunderstand faith as something passive, as if believing means sitting still. But real faith is active. It takes courage, consistency, and creativity. Believing in divine prosperity doesn't mean waiting for money to fall from the sky. It means trusting that the gifts already inside you are enough to create abundance on earth. It means understanding that opportunities are drawn to confidence, and confidence comes from conviction. When you know that you are called to prosper, you show up differently. You speak with authority, you negotiate with boldness, and you serve with passion. Every time you doubt your worth, you distance yourself from your wealth. The internal dialogue you entertain becomes the vibration that shapes your environment. That's why gratitude and declaration are powerful. When you speak abundance, you prepare your mind to receive it. When you thank God for provision before it arrives, you open a channel for it to manifest. Faith is not about waiting, it's about preparing. You attract what you prepare for, not what you wish for. Prosperity as part of divine design doesn't mean life will be easy. It means you'll have authority even in difficulty. Challenges don't disprove your faith, they refine it. Every test is an opportunity to prove to yourself that your belief is stronger than your circumstances. When you hold on to faith during scarcity, you demonstrate that your source is not your salary. When you act in generosity during uncertainty, you remind your spirit that giving creates growth. Believing that prosperity is divine doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you responsible. It demands discipline. It demands that you manage money with integrity, lead people with love, and make decisions guided by wisdom, not ego. It reminds you that your wealth is not yours alone. It's a trust, a tool, and a testimony. It's proof that faith produces tangible fruit when handled with purpose. The moment you decide that prosperity and faith belong together, you give yourself permission to prosper without guilt and to give without fear. You understand that money doesn't change your mission. It magnifies it. It reveals your heart, amplifies your reach, and multiplies your impact. Believing that prosperity is part of your divine design means living each day with the confidence that increase is not just possible, it's promised to those who walk in purpose and operate in faith. The principle of serving before you sell and giving before you gain is one of the greatest laws of prosperity that governs every area of life. Many people spend their whole lives chasing money, chasing recognition, chasing validation, and yet the ones who rise to true abundance are those who learn that success is not something you pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become and the value you deliver. The seed always comes before the harvest, and service is the seed that makes wealth inevitable. When you focus on becoming a person of service, your presence becomes magnetic, your work becomes meaningful, and your results become predictable. Serving before you sell means that your first goal is not to get, but to give. The world does not reward takers, it rewards contributors. Every business that thrives does so because it solves a problem for someone else. Every entrepreneur who grows understands that people pay for transformation, not transactions. When your heart is set on solving problems, you'll never lack opportunity. When your motives are pure, your methods gain power. Money flows toward excellence, and excellence flows from service. The person who decides to give more than expected, to go further than required, to treat every client, student, or customer like a divine appointment, this person never runs out of work or wealth. Most people have been conditioned to see selling as manipulation, but real selling is service in action. It's showing someone how your product, your skill, or your wisdom can make their life better. It's about understanding their pain, offering a solution, and delivering it with integrity. When you give genuine value first through free teaching, helpful insights, small acts of kindness, you build trust, and trust is the currency of influence. The more people trust you, the more willing they are to invest in what you offer. You won't have to beg for sales when you've already proven your worth through service. Giving before you gain is a reflection of faith in action. It means you believe that what you release will return multiplied. You believe that generosity is not subtraction, it's multiplication. The farmer doesn't cry when he releases his seed into the soil. He rejoices because he knows the harvest is coming. The same principle applies to money, relationships, time, and effort. When you give freely, you activate divine circulation. You become a conduit for abundance rather than a container. The more you let flow through you, the more flows to you. Service is not weakness, it's strategy. Some of the most powerful people in the world became wealthy because they found ways to serve millions. Every great brand, every great business, every great legacy is built on the foundation of service. Service creates satisfaction. Satisfaction creates loyalty, and loyalty creates wealth. If you want to increase your income, increase your impact. If you want to expand your reach, expand your contribution. Wealth is the echo of service rendered to others. When you serve with excellence, people notice. But more importantly, heaven notices. You tap into a spiritual law that guarantees increase. It's impossible to continually add value and not eventually be valued. The more you give, the more you grow, the more you grow, the more you can give. It's a cycle of abundance that never ends. But the motive must remain pure. If you serve just to be seen, your impact will be shallow. If you give just to get, your reward will be temporary. True service flows from love, love for people, love for purpose, love for excellence. That kind of love leaves an impression that money alone can't buy. When you serve before you sell, you shift from scarcity to sufficiency. You no longer ask, what can I get out of this? But what can I give to this? That question opens creative energy, attracts new ideas, and connects you with people who are aligned with your purpose. You'll begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles because service makes you sensitive to need. Need is the birthplace of opportunity, and when you meet needs, you create wealth. Even in business, this principle is timeless. The companies that dominate their industries are the ones obsessed with adding value first. They innovate not because they want applause, but because they want to make life better for the people they serve. When your motive is to serve, excellence becomes natural. You can't help but deliver better work, create better systems, and refine your craft because you care. And when you care, you stand out. The market rewards distinction, and distinction is the child of dedication. Serving before you sell doesn't mean you give everything away for free or that you let people take advantage of you. It means you lead with generosity and integrity. You show the world that you are more focused on contribution than competition. And the irony is the more you give, the less you compete. Because those who serve from the heart build relationships, not transactions. Relationships sustain wealth far longer than any one-time sale. When you give before you gain, you also align yourself with divine timing. You recognize that everything you sow has a season of return. You might not see instant results, but every act of service plants a seed in someone's mind, someone's life, or someone's memory. That seed grows into referrals, opportunities, partnerships, and favor that money alone could never buy. The world has a way of opening doors for those who consistently open their hearts. Service before sales is not just a business strategy, it's a spiritual discipline. It keeps you grounded in humility while positioning you for greatness. It reminds you that wealth is not a goal, it's a byproduct. It's what happens when you give your best to others without losing your authenticity. You don't have to chase clients because your service will attract them. You don't have to beg for attention because your excellence will demand it. The path to prosperity is paved with acts of service, and the surest way to rise is to lift others along the way. Mastering money without worshiping it begins with understanding the true nature of wealth. Money is energy, a reflection of value exchanged, not a measure of your worth or identity. When you understand this, you stop chasing it and start managing it. Money is a servant. It performs according to how you instruct it. But if you allow money to master you, it becomes a cruel ruler. Many people lose themselves in the pursuit of wealth because they confuse having money with being valuable. The danger is not in possessing riches, it's in being possessed by them. True mastery begins when you decide that your peace, your purpose, and your principles will never be for sale. The first step to mastering money is to renew your mindset about it. You can't master something you resent, and you can't attract something you fear. Too many people have emotional baggage around money, guilt, anxiety, or pride. They either treat it like an idol or an enemy. Both extremes are destructive. You must learn to see money as neutral, as a tool that amplifies the heart of the one who holds it. In the hands of a wise person, it builds schools, feeds families, funds dreams, and creates jobs. In the hands of a fool, it brings corruption, division, and regret. So the question is never how much money you have, but how much control it has over you. To master money, you must first master yourself. Financial discipline is spiritual discipline in disguise. Every time you choose to budget, invest, or save instead of spending impulsively, you're practicing self-control. You're proving that you govern your emotions, not the other way around. Money magnifies your habits. If you are careless with 100, you'll be careless with 1,000. If you are wise with a little, you will be prepared for more. Prosperity doesn't make you generous. Generosity qualifies you for prosperity. When you learn to be faithful in the small, you train your spirit for abundance. Another key to mastering money is understanding the difference between ownership and stewardship. Ownership says, "This is mine." Stewardship says, "This is entrusted to me." When you believe you own everything, you become prideful and protective. When you understand you're a steward, you become grateful and responsible. You no longer hoard wealth, you circulate it wisely. You invest in people, projects, and purposes that align with your values. You treat money like a river, not a pond. It's meant to flow, to create life wherever it goes. When it stops flowing, it becomes stagnant, and stagnation always leads to loss. Mastery also means separating your emotions from your finances. Many people make emotional money decisions. They buy to impress, give to please, or invest out of fear. But money obeys principles, not feelings. When you anchor your financial decisions in wisdom and understanding, you break free from emotional manipulation. You learn to delay gratification, to think long term, to measure opportunity by purpose rather than impulse. Every dollar becomes a soldier assigned to a mission, and your job is to deploy them where they can multiply and make a difference. There's a subtle temptation that comes with success. As you grow in wealth, it's easy to start trusting the resource more than the source. You begin to rely on your bank balance for confidence instead of your faith. You start believing that your comfort comes from your cash flow, and that's where people fall. Mastery means reminding yourself daily that money is not your savior, it's your servant. You can have a full account and an empty soul, or you can have divine peace with or without a dime. The key is perspective. When your faith anchors your finances, no amount of gain or loss can shake your sense of security. People who worship money often live in fear of losing it, fear of missing out, fear of not having enough. Fear makes you reactive, but faith makes you proactive. When you trust that divine provision is constant, you stop making desperate moves. You stop trying to impress and start focusing on impact. The goal is not to make money your God, but to make it your gift. Use it to create, to contribute, to change lives. When money becomes your mission's fuel instead of your idol's altar, you'll experience both peace and prosperity. Money mastery also requires awareness of your motives. Why do you want wealth? Is it to prove something, to feel superior, to escape insecurity, or is it to serve, to build, to bless? Your motive determines your management. If ego drives you, excess will destroy you. If purpose drives you, prosperity will strengthen you. You'll use wealth to fulfill vision, not to feed vanity. That's how you stay balanced, by aligning every financial decision with a higher calling. True financial mastery means living with gratitude and detachment. You appreciate what you have, but you're not enslaved by it. You enjoy luxury, but you don't let it define you. You can give freely because you know the source of your supply never runs dry. You're not intimidated by other people's success because you understand abundance is infinite. The same divine source that blesses one person is capable of blessing you in your own lane. Envy fades when faith is strong. To master money without worshiping it is to walk in wisdom, to live by principle rather than pressure. It's realizing that money doesn't make you powerful. It reveals how powerful your mindset already is. When you operate from purpose, you handle wealth with peace, you attract opportunities without manipulation, and you grow without greed. The wealthiest people are not those with the most possessions, but those who possess themselves completely. Keeping your source higher than your success is the ultimate safeguard against losing your soul while gaining the world. Many people start with pure intentions, working hard to change their lives, to serve others, to make a difference. But somewhere along the way, success begins to whisper lies. It tells them that they are self-made, that they no longer need guidance, that their achievements are proof of independence. The danger is subtle but real. The moment you start worshiping the blessing more than the one who gave it, you begin to lose direction. When you forget your source, your success becomes unstable. It might look bright for a season, but without the foundation of faith and gratitude, it will eventually collapse under its own weight. Every gift has a giver, and every opportunity is a door that was opened by grace. Keeping your source higher means acknowledging that no matter how skilled, disciplined, or strategic you are, there is still a divine hand that positions you, protects you, and promotes you. Success does not come only from hard work, it comes from alignment. You can work without grace and struggle, or you can work with grace and flow. When your heart remains connected to the source, your actions are guided by purpose instead of pride. You make decisions from clarity instead of confusion. The danger of success is that it can seduce you into self-reliance. The applause feels good, the numbers rise, and suddenly you start believing that the system is your source. But systems change, markets shift, followers fade, yet divine provision remains constant. If you ever tie your worth to your wins, you'll feel worthless in moments of loss. That's why you must stay anchored in something eternal. Gratitude is that anchor. When you live in gratitude, you remind yourself daily that everything you have is on loan, not ownership. You become humble enough to receive correction and strong enough to handle promotion. Gratitude doesn't just keep you grounded, it keeps you growing. It keeps your heart open to learning and your mind open to new possibilities. The moment you think you no longer need divine guidance is the moment pride blinds you to wisdom. True success is sustained by humility. Humility doesn't mean thinking less of yourself, it means thinking of yourself less. It means recognizing that your achievements are not meant to glorify you, but to glorify the purpose that birthed them. When you honor your source, your success becomes sacred. People often confuse spiritual alignment with religious performance. Keeping your source higher isn't about ritual. It's about relationship. It's about constant awareness that your gifts, talents, and opportunities are extensions of divine grace. It's knowing that prayer and planning are partners, not opposites. You pray to receive vision, and you plan to execute that vision with excellence. You don't separate spirituality from success. You integrate them until they become one seamless expression of who you are. There will always be moments when your success will test your loyalty. Doors will open that challenge your integrity. People will praise you in ways that tempt your ego. In those moments, you must return to your foundation. Ask yourself who you were before the applause, who you are when no one is watching. If you can stay true to that version of yourself, success will never consume you. The blessing is safe in the hands of someone who remembers where it came from. Keeping your source higher also means living with open hands. When you grip your possessions too tightly, you create fear of loss. When you open your hands, you create room for flow. Giving is not just about charity, it's about clarity. It reminds you that money, influence, and status are tools to serve others, not trophies to display. The more you give, the more you prove to yourself that your supply is infinite. You start to live from abundance instead of scarcity, from confidence instead of competition. Prayer becomes a form of power management. It keeps your emotions in check when pressure rises and your ego in check when praise comes. It reminds you that even in success, you still need guidance. Every new level of success comes with new responsibilities, and prayer keeps you aligned so that your decisions remain rooted in integrity. It transforms your success from a source of stress into a platform for service. Another way to keep your source higher is to stay surrounded by truth tellers instead of fans. Fans cheer your image. Truth tellers protect your identity. You need people around you who can remind you of your purpose when your performance starts to outshine your principles. Isolation is dangerous for the successful because it creates echo chambers of flattery. But accountability keeps you sharp. It keeps you human. It keeps you connected to what truly matters. The more success you achieve, the more intention you must become about stewardship. Stewardship means managing what you've been given with wisdom and vision. It means using your platform to uplift others, not to elevate your ego. It means leading with compassion, treating people with dignity, and making decisions that outlive your personal gain. When you see yourself as a steward, success becomes sacred work. Keeping your source higher than your success ultimately transforms how you measure wealth. You stop counting only money and start counting meaning. You stop chasing status and start chasing significance. You understand that the true measure of success is not what you collect, but what you contribute. When your faith is the root, your success becomes the fruit. And as long as the root stays healthy, the fruit will keep multiplying.